moving into next week, right?
Okay.
I've challenged everybody here, including the people behind the camera as well. We're making some picks. ESPN has come out with their bracket challenge, and you can pick a bracket all the way up to the Super Bowl. And we're challenging everybody on this crew today to pick their brackets, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. But you know what, Matthew, I want to start with you, right? At the very least, let's talk about your wild card weekend. What's happening this weekend?
I got Cleveland over Houston.
Okay.
In the AFC. We're starting with the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Got Cleveland over Houston.
Okay.
I got Miami over Kansas City. I got Buffalo over Pittsburgh.
Okay.
NFC.
Yes.
I got Philly over Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Give me Detroit over the Rams.
All right.
Give me Dallas over Green Bay.
I agree with most of that. Not gonna lie, I do agree with most of that. I would like to know from you, how do the Lions win? What's a score? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen in that game?
Detroit is going to run the football.
Okay.
That's what they're going to do. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
They're going to do their thing, and then they're going to eat on the play action. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds. Now, where this could play a factor in Detroit losing, because they could lose, that Rams defensive front, they still have Aaron Donald over there.
Yeah, they do.
Very disruptive. He's still very, very good. He could cause some issues. Offensively, Rams offensively could give Detroit defense some issues.
Yeah, they can.
Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua.
What a duo that nobody thought was going to happen.
And they can run the football. And Stafford can sling it with the best of them. So it would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if LA won, but give me Detroit 27-20.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. We get some fun games this weekend.
Oh yeah, very fun. A lot of homecomings.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and you know, it's of course Deshaun Watson isn't playing, but you got Cleveland going into Houston.
Yep. And that's going to mean a lot of things to a lot of fans and a lot of people on that team. Do you think Deshaun shows up?
Yep.
You think he's going to be there?
Yep.
You think they're going to show him?
Yep.
And do you know how loud those boos are going to be?
Houston fans going to let him have it.
Yeah, they will.
Houston fans are crazy. Oh yeah, they do a lot of talking. They are loud. They are boisterous.
Yes, they are. A little annoying.
I ain't going to say it.
Okay, the Astros fans. The Astros fans specifically.
They got some characters in that Houston fan base, man. So, oh yeah, they gonna let him have it pretty good.
They will.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I think he'll be there.
Okay, I'm curious. I am really curious. I think he will be there, maybe in a box or something like that.
Yeah,
but maybe in a bad box, but. But you know he'll be in a box somewhere.
He got the money to pay for it. Remember, he get $230 guaranteed.
Too much.
Oh man!
All right, let me tell you how I think this thing shakes out. I as much as I kind of don't want to admit it because I like the Texans run, I do think the Browns win that one. I had the Chiefs over the Dolphins. Here's the thing about this Dolphins team: this Dolphins team does not shine in the brightest of lights. That's just how it is. Look at almost every game they've had, the big games, right? Get blown out by Baltimore. Get honestly trucked twice by Buffalo, right? And a Buffalo team in a year where they've had a lot of ups and downs, right? They've had some very bad games. I mean, they lost to Denver? What? And Denver's not that bad, but still, you know?
Same Denver team that got 70 hung on them by Miami.
Right. And yet they've dominated the Dolphins both of the times. The Chiefs who honestly, you know, probably your reason for picking the Dolphins over them, who aren't that great this year. They're definitely having a bit of the Super Bowl hangover. I definitely think so.
I think the lack of talent at the receiver position too.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that's hurting them. Now the thing about Kansas City can still run the football.
Yes, they can.
Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you still got those guys that can do their thing in the run game. Now, there's something that you left out as to why Miami could lose. Miami does not play well on the road.
That is true. They were almost undefeated at home, right? And yet almost all of those losses came from the road teams.
Mm-hmm.
When they went on the road, they played awful at Baltimore. I mean, just terrible. I mean, they
got run out of there.
Yeah, they got run out of there. And actually, I do want to bring up the Tennessee loss as well, because that was the one time I felt like they kind of got run out of their own stadium.
Yeah, that was at home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that was on Monday Night Football too.
Yes.
They got run out of their own stadium on Monday Night Football. I mean, and you know how that team is. That team is the one that can surprise you. Let's be real. They can surprise you. They can make good teams hurt.
Right.
I mean, they single-handedly took out the Jags out of the playoffs. Well, the Jags did it to themselves, really. But, they took the Jags out of the playoffs. That Jags team is a mess.
Oh, man.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the guy, but I think he's a great backup.
I think they have a coaching issue.
There's that too. There is that too. I think I've also seen enough of Lawrence in the NFL.
He just got here
in a starting position. It's
just his third year, bro.
I know. But have you watched some of these games?
Yeah, I watched them, but see, that's why I said I think some of that is coaching.
Yeah, you do have a point there.
And he delivered a greatly thrown ball to Calvin Ridley that could have tied the game up in Tennessee the other day.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this too: Jacksonville also has issues up front.
They do. You're right.
The offensive line is a little questionable, but I think a lot of that is coaching that's going on down there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I do agree with you. I do agree. There's a lot of other things. It's not just Trevor Lawrence. Like, let's be completely real.
Right.
It's not just Trevor Lawrence. And one of the things with the NFL that I've always thought is that all of these guys are stars, right? All of these guys get paid the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a slight margin of difference between, honestly, the best quarterback and the worst of the starting quarterbacks, right? There's only a slight margin, but that margin is enough to make those teams that much better and to make those quarterbacks that are slightly worse just that much worse.
Well, it just depends, too. I don't think it's the slight margin because, I still think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football.
I would agree with you.
Who's the 32nd?
Oh, there could be a lot of people at that 30-second mark in some way, shape, or form during this season, right? And it's not Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is very middle of the road, right?
The Jets are a joke of an organization.
They are.
Well.
They are. Honestly, Zach Wilson isn't great, right? Like, let's be honest. Zach Wilson is not the number 2 pick. Let's be honest. But he's not bad. He's not as bad as that team makes him look.
Nah, and the Jets don't have an offensive line either.
They don't. You're right.
I mean, they got some. I love their defensive front.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Quinnen Williams fan.
Right. Yeah, he's
love
great.
him. But on the offensive side of the ball, they have some questions up front when it comes to pass protection, which it's sad because they run the ball very, very well with Breece Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I do like him. So, and you got Garrett Wilson up there, wide receiver. So they have some guys at the skill positions that they're more than serviceable. They're very, very solid. I think Garrett Wilson is a lot better than what we see out of him.
Right.
But we don't know because the offense is so bad.
It is. You're right.
I think Garrett Wilson could potentially already be a top 10 guy at the receiver spot if he isn't already.
Right.
But you got to be able to give him the ball. And I know we say Zach isn't that bad, but every time you look up, he's sprinting out of the pocket out of necessity.
Right.
No protection up front. So,
yeah,
man, I think it's too fast to go to sleep on Trevor Lawrence.
And I'm not completely putting him to bed, but I think he's had 3 years now to kind of take form. And people were saying that he was going to be great right out the gate. That's the thing. And he has definitely not lived up to that great out the gate expectation that people had. I mean, people were saying like, this guy's Patrick Mahomes. This is the next guy. That's what everybody was saying about him out of the draft. But
he was a surefire.
Right. And he has all these weapons around him too. Like,
he's got some guys that can catch the ball.
And I don't know if he's lived up to that expectation yet. And like you said, there's coaching issues. There's all sorts of issues in this organization that are honestly kind of a joke. But still, I'm not sold. Let's put it that way. I'm not sold.
That's fair.
Now coming back to the picks.
I'm gonna remember that.
Mm-hmm. Coming back to the picks, right? I do have the Chiefs winning. Let's be honest, the Chiefs defense is really good as well. Like, the Chiefs defense can lock people down, lock teams down.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones is a force.
Can take over a game.
Mm-hmm. I have the Bills beating the Steelers. I think everybody thinks that. I mean,
yeah.
The Steelers probably have one of the worst offenses in the NFL right now. That just is what it is.
And with or without TJ Watt, I know we talked about that earlier. With or without him, Buffalo will still beat them. Buffalo still should beat them.
Right. I also do know that with TJ Watt and without TJ Watt is a big difference on that team.
It is.
Without TJ Watt, that team is 1-11 since he's joined the organization. They are 1-11.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. They're 1-11, and I wrote this down as well. They are 1-11 or no 1-10. Sorry, they're 1-10, and they're allowing 26.3 points a game when he's not in that offense, as opposed to 19.8 when he is. That is how big of a difference that man makes on that defense.
Let me give you some love from doing some homework on that, because I didn't know that. I didn't go that in depth with it.
Just I knew that was a stat. I didn't know. I knew that. I remember them talking about that last year, and I had to do the homework to see what the actual record was. But they are 1-10 without that man in the lineup. But anyways, kind of moving into the rest of these picks, right? I have Bucks over Eagles. I just, like I told you, I don't think Eagles are going to get run out of there, but I just think maybe like a 30-24, right? 30-24 game. I have the Rams beating the Lions.
I like it.
There's always one upset, right? There's always one upset that comes out of this weekend, and I think the Rams are going to be that team. I mean, you had the Jags and Chargers, which everybody thought the Chargers were going to maybe run away with that game, especially after the
27-0.
Yeah, 27-0 lead. And I don't remember, did they score after that?
No.
Yeah. Every one of these recent playoff pictures have had one of those teams, right?
Right.
I say the Rams are that team, and I have the Cowboys winning as well. Now, kind of going on to the people in the back, we've asked them to make brackets as well, and we'll maybe talk in future episodes about how these brackets keep shaping out, right? Mm-hmm. Just to kind of give you our overviews, right? I have the Niners beating the Rams. I have the Cowboys beating the Bucks in the second round, and then I have the Cowboys beating the Niners. I just something about it tells me they're not gonna beat them 4 times. I don't know. And I have the Ravens beating the Browns. I have the Bills beating the Chiefs, and I have a Ravens Bills AFC Championship. I have Ravens beating the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Now,
okay,
just a little overview. What are you saying?
Divisional round. I have Baltimore defeating Miami.
Okay.
I have Cleveland defeating Buffalo.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I got an all AFC North AFC Championship game.
I like it.
I got San Fran over Philly in the divisional.
That's fair.
Lions fans want this matchup. Dallas and Detroit in the divisional.
Mm-hmm.
Lions fans want that.
I want it too.
I do too. Give me Dallas over Detroit.
I think that wasn't a fluke.
Nah, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
NFC Championship game, San Francisco over Dallas. Now,
fair.
I get what you're saying. You don't think San Francisco gonna get them again? Dallas has to prove it.
I agree.
That's where I am. I want Dallas to go out there and prove it, because right now I believe San Francisco is in their heads.
I agree.
I don't know what it's going to take for them. Maybe they need to go see a shrink or something. All of them, whether it be McCarthy, Quinn, because Quinn's defense got embarrassed. All of them, the players, they need to go see a shrink or something. Go talk to a counselor or something. The Niners are in their heads. And right now, they are battling psychological warfare when it comes to the 49ers. So, until further notice, I got San Francisco defeating Dallas in the NFC Championship game. I got Baltimore beating Cleveland.
No, I think that's fair.
Yes, sir. Super Bowl, Baltimore over San Fran. I think Baltimore gets it done.
Again.
Yes, sir. I think I do believe this game will be much closer than it was recently.
I agree.
But I like Baltimore in this one.
Yeah. I think the Ravens are winning the Super Bowl regardless. They are just the best team in the NFL. That is what it is.
Absolutely.
Now, let's move off camera. There are people behind the camera that make this show go. And I want to give them a chance to speak their mind. So we're going to start with Jake Dexter here, who is going to give his picks for the bracket.
So I got a couple for you guys. Okay,
right.
So a couple things. I'm not going to go through the whole bracket. Okay, we're just going to say that when it gets down to it, we're going to see the Browns and we're going to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
My man.
I like
and
it.
let me tell you why. Okay,
Why? Come on.
I got three names for you.
Okay.
Joe Flacco,
All right.
Dustin Hopkins, and Riley Patterson. Let me tell you why.
Did you just look up those names?
I did not memorize right here in the big old noggin, okay?
Okay.
Because the key to winning football is you got to kick the ball. You get that's the key to every championship, every Super Bowl, all 56 Super Bowls. It's been a field goal in some way, form, or fashion. And they got Dustin
True.
Hopkins. Okay, he's a little injured right now. He'll be back. And
All right.
they got the little backup, Riley Patterson. You got Joe, you got Dustin, you got Riley. That's why they're going to win. Browns, I hate to say it, Dallas. Browns going to take it home. Browns
Why?
going to take it home.
Why?
I just told you all three reasons right there. That's that. You got number one, the GOAT. Okay, Mr. Joe. Well, he's kind of 2024 is GOAT. Okay, Dustin Hopkins, Riley Patterson. All right, Trev. Let's hear what you got over here.
All right, come on, Trevor. You're talking all that talk over there. You're showing. I watched. Listen. I watched you just put up that TikTok by Juju.
I'm pulling everything back there right now.
That was rude and ridiculous. Now tell me your picks, please.
Man, so my bracket, I've kind of got an upset bracket actually.
Okay.
A lot of upsets. I feel like. So Browns beating Texans. I do believe Chiefs will beat Dolphins. Dolphins have been doing a really good run this season, but I think it's just going to be one of those upset rounds where it's probably a close game, but Chiefs will ultimately come out on top as they usually do.
Yeah.
Bills definitely beating Steelers. That just kind of feels like a given at this point. NFC wild cards. Eagles beating Buccaneers. That one I'm a little iffy about. Rams beating Lions for sure. I'm kind of rooting for Matthew Stafford just because Highland Park alone. We make a bunch of Highland Park stuff.
Game on.
And then the real kicker, I have Packers beating Cowboys in the wild card.
You're saying the Cowboys get embarrassed?
I feel like it's going to be like the first round they come in and just fumble everything and I feel like Packers are just going to walk away with it for some reason.
You think that's the big upset?
At least. Outside of that, I'm kind of with you. Ravens taking everything all the way. I have Ravens in the Super Bowl, beating the Browns in a divisional and beating the Chiefs in the conference. And then other side, NFC, I have 49ers going pretty far, but I feel like Eagles, I feel like we will have a Kelsey in the Super Bowl still. So I'm going Ravens and Eagles Super Bowl. That's my prediction.
Ooh,
that's actually kind of that's an interesting pick.
Yeah, I told you it's
a
spicy.
real bold.
I got some upsets. It's getting spicy in here.
Yeah, that's hot.
That's a bold pick. And I think the Eagles would get embarrassed if they went into the Super Bowl with Baltimore. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I think they run him out there. I think that looks like a TCU and Georgia national championship.
Ooh.
I mean, I think they get embarrassed.
Ooh. I mean,
Do you not agree with me?
I think Baltimore is definitely 3 touchdowns better. If we see Baltimore and Philly, I do have Baltimore beating them by at least 21.
And beat the brakes off.
But man, you talking, I mean, this is real deal diabolical hate that you have in your heart, and I understand it because I'm a Cowboy fan myself. But TCU Georgia, that's diabolical.
Look, I'm dropping some dropping some disrespect, right? I mean,
You got
it'll
to.
probably be more like this Michigan game last night. That's gonna be the real thing.
That's realistic.
I think
I
it's
can
probably
see it like
I think
that.
it would probably be more like the Michigan game last night.